What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to HQ. We are wrapping up another week of training for Westerns. It's looking more and more every week like Westerns is the goal, that is the meet. I've reached out to confirm with a couple of the competitors who I've heard sort of third-hand information that they're going to be doing Westerns. I'm going to confirm and make sure, but it's looking like Westerns is going to be the meet, and that is in order to qualify for IPF Worlds in 2024 in Lithuania. Anyways, I'm a little sick right now, so forgive me if I'm sniffling, congested sounding. Last week's training, unfortunately, was derailed a little bit by said sickness, but the week started off strong. So started off with conventional deadlifts. We went up to, I believe, 182.5 and just kind of got the work in there. Might have even been shy of 4 plates. I think maybe I remember Dylan giving me shit because it was like 390 or 395 or 400. For one of my sets. So I think my final set was 405, but anyways. Conventional was feeling so-so that day. I think it was the first day I used my belt, which, you know, for me in a conventional position, at this bigger body weight, I think really does make a difference in terms of taking some pressure off my low back. It allows me to brace a little better. I can't get into like a super fabulous extended position in conventional anymore because I have a bit of a gut and I have much bigger quads than I did when I was 105 and lighter when I was pulling conventional. So the belt helped a lot. I will be continuing to use the belt for anything over 4 on the deadlifts, and that's fine. After the conventionals were done, moved on to dips, which is a variation I've really been enjoying pushing. Been adding a decent amount of weight week to week, starting to get to the point where I feel like I can actually challenge that movement on the basis of strength. I think with a lot of these more non-specific movements, there is kind of an adjustment period for somebody who's as specialized as I am in, you know, 3 lifts. So when it comes time to do something like dips, yes. Am I gonna sandbag the crap out of the first few weeks and make sure that, you know, all of the sort of extraneous tissues that maybe aren't used to working that way are gonna be well adapted by the time I load a bunch of weight on there because my pecs, triceps, and delts are quite strong? Yeah, but we're getting to the point now where I am able to pile a little bit of weight on there, push it a little harder, and that feels pretty good. From there, moved into a bunch of bodybuilding stuff. So again, we did pec work, some flies, we did some front delt raises, we did some more tricep work, and we also got back work on this day, and that was the chest supported row, which I love and cherish and hold dear. You know, the usual. Able to pile a bunch of weight on there, and it feels really damn good. And then moved on to the belt squat, which was the last exercise of the day. Now, you know, starting to get to the point where the 10% rule is allowing me to add a little more than 2.5 kilos to the belt squat week by week, which also feels good. Again, you know, no complaints from the knee on that. Trying to really take advantage of absolutely all of the range of motion I can get on that thing, especially for 1 set a week. Then I got sick. I got tattooed on Wednesday. It was my birthday. I spent a wonderful night after getting tattooed, eating Chinese food and watching the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And that was just a wonderful night for me. And the next day was very sick. Tattoo flu. Maybe it was the sickness that had been lingering within me for about a week at that point. Whatever it was, knocked me on my ass pretty good. So Thursday, Friday, I was down and out. We didn't stream, didn't film content, I didn't lift. Now on Saturday, we had a photo shoot here for SBD, and had a lot of athletes from kind of all over Western Canada come out and check things out and get a lift in and, you know, fill out the product shots for Inner Strength and SBD Canada with Canadian athletes. And then we got a little training session in. So by Saturday, I was feeling pretty good and did some pause deadlifts. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, jumped a little ahead and accelerated the plan for pause deadlifts there a little bit. I had been strictly adhering to the 10% rule. I broke my own rule a little bit with the pause deadlifts, but I was deadlifting with Kwaku, and I think he might have gone up to about 650 for paused 6s on his deadlifts. So I couldn't do less than 405. I settled with that, got 2 or 3 sets at 405. I felt pretty okay. Then I decided to also repeat the load from my previous exposure of feet up bench. Now the bench was too close to the wall because we'd reorganized the gym quite a bit. And that threw me off a little bit. I also, again, was kind of recovering from sickness and all this. So the set ended up being a massive overshoot. It was supposed to be 8 reps at a 9. It was 8 reps at a 10.5. I think I was cheating. I think my butt was up off the bench. I was pushing my legs into the wall, like using leg drive to try to get the last rep. It was just ugly and gross. And my shoulder hurt afterwards. It was not ideal. But then went into the leg press because I kind of attempted to condense my day 3, day 4 into one day so that I could then move forward into the next week and get back on track. Fast forward to the next week, took a couple days off and ended up condensing my day 1, 2 into one day as well, but that'll be in next week's update. Should we get to the question of the day here, Dill?
Yeah, and also word of the day.
Yeah.
Is going to be Eldritch.
Eldritch.
Yeah.
Nice. The one spell I used when we played D&D.
Do you want to explain how the word of the day works?
So the word of the day needs to be a part of your YouTube comment. And you also need to ask a good, thought-provoking question for us. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily even be about training. In some cases, it can be about life. It can be about music or whatever. But if your question is chosen and you properly use the word of the day, then you will win a Calgary Barbell gift certificate for the value of a shirt. And as you can see here, we got some new shirts coming out soon. So that could be a very exciting thing for a very few lucky people. So go ahead and leave those comments and questions below using the word that Dylan mentioned that I shall not mention again.
So yeah, moving on. The question comes from J Mac Mud Pro. The word last week was uncouth.
Uncouth.
So he says uncouth. Mm-hmm. Why have you decided to stay natural, and do you worry about the integrity of the reliability of testing?
Oh boy, that's a big question.
That one had the most likes, so I
people want to know.
one. Yeah,
people want to know. So it was why have I decided to stay natural?
Yeah.
So for me, I think that dedicating to the untested side of things, I think that's a lot more to manage. I think there are higher risks for, certain soft tissue injuries. I think there are definitely higher risks for things going wrong with your hormones or strange side effects or other things that can affect your lifestyle for life. I think a lot of people don't weigh that decision heavily enough. I think it's a massive, massive decision if you're going to do that as a serious undertaking. And I've weighed those decisions and have decided that it's not worth it for me. That, maybe I won't lift as much as I could or be as jacked as I could if I committed to using those substances. But I also expect to have better health into later life as a result of it. I expect to hopefully get injured a little less, and that's coming from a guy who's been injured for the last 10 years. But I think that the big thing for me is all those potentials and side effects. And, I've been around a lot of people who have used performance enhancing drugs. A lot of my friends who are lifters, a lot of the communities that I've been around have been mixed between tested and untested lifters, drug using and drug free lifters. So I've seen a lot of it. I've talked to a lot of people who have used drugs, PEDs specifically. And it just, I don't think that it ever seemed like it was worth the potential trade-off. And I feel like I have a bit of a family and a home in the group of people that I compete with in the IPF, in the CPU, in the drug tested side of things. So, that's another reason it doesn't seem as attractive to me to move into that side of things. So a bit long-winded, but that's kind of the answer to that. Now, do I worry about the integrity of drug-free sport? Of course. You'd be stupid not to. You would be dumb if you just blindly trusted. I mean, it would be nice. You probably, ignorance is bliss kind of thing. If you just took everyone at their word and didn't worry about the fact that there are a ton of countries in the IPF that do 0 tests every year and then go and win worlds and still get 0 drug tests. You know, that kind of thing happens. And unfortunately, it's something that you kind of submit yourself to if you're going to play the game. And I think that pretty much goes without saying in any sport. You know, if there is a sport and there are rules, people will cheat. People will break the rules. People will bend the rules. And I think at the end of the day, it comes down to your own sort of moral compass and, you know, how you want to approach things. And for me, I try not to spend too much time thinking about it. Like, yeah, it does get to me sometimes. I do get, you know, a little worked up or a little worried or a little upset that, you know, I don't think the drug testing is where it should be if we're going to call ourselves a drug-free sport. You know what I mean? I don't think it's there yet. I think there's work to be done. I think it can be better. I think it should be better. And I think if you let yourself dwell on that too much, it can definitely be kind of defeating. But at the end of the day, you know, powerlifting is very much an individual sport. And the reason that I got into it, the reason I love it, the reason I still do it to this day is because I feel like I have more that I can do. And that feeling of fulfillment and success from being able to express that and showcase that isn't contingent on somebody else's performance. So, you know, somebody else might beat me and I might place lower because of it. But if I go out there and hit a massive PR or numbers that I want to hit, you know, for me, it's always been more about how well can I do versus, you know, how many records can I break? How many people can I beat? You know, like obviously that is the competitive side of it. Do I want to win? Yes. Do I want to beat people? Yes. You know, am I willing to cheat to do it? No. And like, are there people out there who might? Probably. But yeah, I don't know. I digress at this point. But that's kind of the way that I try to think about it and try not to lose too much sleep over it. And that will be our episode for today. So go ahead and ask your questions. Make sure you use the word of the day. Keep an eye out for the new apparel coming out in November. Check out the Calgary Barbell app. Go to calgarybarbell.com for stuff. It's great. We got coaching, we got coaches, we got all that stuff. And we'll see everybody in the next one. Bye-bye.